Okay, they came into the cell. He's on suicide watch. They jump him. They beat him up. He's providing no resistance. This is a gang-related attack, obviously. Look at the brutality here. Other inmates literally come to save this man. No other news agency has this story yet. We're the first to bring this to you, and I have significant background as to what happened to this man. Very sad. It continues, and what happened afterwards is that literally they did nothing to help him. All right? Let's put up a picture of the Camden County facility. This is in Georgia. As a matter of fact, Camden County is very close to Florida. And many of those who live in Camden County will commute and work in the state of Florida. The video shows 5 jail employees entering the cell of Mr. Hobbs. Mr. Hobbs was there for a non-violent offense and obviously committed no violence to provoke those cops. At least 3 white male staff members beat and strangled Mr. Hobbs before dragging his completely limp body out of the cell. They brutalized him. Hobbs was arrested for driving under a suspended license and possession of a controlled substance. That's what he was in there for. The 41-year-old was held in isolation for 15 days after the unprovoked attack. After. He did not receive any medical attention at all. One of the officers in the video did have his hand placed in a cast after he punched a jail wall in a missed blow at Hobbs. There's more. Hobbs says he was bruised and bleeding from the thrashing. One of his dreadlocks was ripped from his bloody scalp. Here's the quote. Jared Hobbs says to Indisputable, "I really thought I was going to lose my life that night. That I was the only thing I was telling myself was don't fall to the ground. Because you know that's how George Floyd died. So that's why I would not fall to the ground, even though I had 5 or 6 officers on me. It could have been the last day of my life." Hobbs was then charged with 9 counts of assault, never received medical attention, was placed in solitary confinement for 15 additional days because this gang of criminals, these thugs, these corrupt cops decided to jump him. He was charged with battery, obstruction of justice, other counts including, but not limited to, issues related to those officers, which he did not hurt. Let's go to Harry Daniels, okay? Harry Daniels is a civil rights attorney. He is now representing Hobbs. Harry Daniels gave Indisputable Investigates a direct quote. It says, Mr. Hobbs entered the Camden County Jail suffering a psychological episode and asking to be placed in protective confinement. Instead of protecting him, however, these deputies jumped him and beat him mercilessly. It's like something out of a bad movie, according to the civil rights attorney. He goes on to say, this video is undeniable and the deputies' actions are inexcusable. They acted like a gang of dangerous thugs. And we're formally requesting the DA to bring charges against them immediately. Frankly, they deserve to be behind bars and not running a jail. We also had communication directly with the fiance. Let's put up the picture of the happy family. Hobbs' fiance, her name is Carla, tried for over 2 weeks to get in touch with Mr. Hobbs. He was denied contact after they criminally assaulted him. They have a daughter, beautiful child. And I want to say this to the daughter, your father did not deserve this. I think your dad is a good man. Those cops that did what they did, those are the bad men. And that's why it's important for young leaders like you to stand up for righteousness. Carla also got the NAACP involved. After they assaulted him, she says, they did not let him call anybody. I ended up calling the NAACP. When the man went to check on him, they lied to him and told him it was all the fault of Mr. Hobbs. You see, what's happening here? Do you think this is the first time they've run into a cell and just beat up somebody? First time? Of course not. There's more. Let's put up the people who are in charge, okay? Camden County Sheriff Jim Proctor and Jail Administrator Major Rob Mastrioni. Now here's what needs to happen. Obviously, transparency, policy changes, justice for those who were hurt, not just in this situation, but the ones previous that we do not have a record of. Now, until we see transparency here, those two gentlemen will be the face of this story every time you Google it. Let's put up our way that you can contact us. I made a proclamation a few weeks ago, and I said, if there are good cops out there, because everybody says they're good cops, and I know a few. If you are a good cop, prove it. Let us know about the corruption, the violations, the criminality of bad cops. You can email us here at indisputable@tyt.com. Also, if you are working in a private corporation, government entity, and there's injustice, discrimination, it's impacting the community at large, contact us. We want to know about it. Transparency is the great disinfectant to corruption. All right, my dear brother, what are your thoughts here?
Having that on camera is sadistic, and it shows how brazen, and I agree with what you're saying there. It definitely suggests that they have systemically done this kind of thing before. We definitely want to see more evidence of that before we make that conclusion, but the way they're going, oh yeah, it was his fault, even though everything is on camera. The fact that this gang, as you're putting it, because we need to reject and reframe the situation. This gang went into the cell, mobbed against him when he was already in a psychological situation, threw a bunch of charges at him, and then refused any sort of help for him. I even really feel for him, because he said, listen, whatever situation I was feeling in my head mentally, I was really down at my lowest point, but I was not going to let them break me. I was not going to go down that way. That takes a lot of heart, and there needs to be a lot more said about this. The last thing on this really fast is there's such this concern from Republicans and conservatives about a crime wave in this country, and that we need to fund the police more, that we need to fund the prisons more. This is what we get. This is what we get in the country where we have a fourth of the prisoners in the world. We don't need to fund the prisons better. We need to have a better system for actually rehabilitating people, and we need to have a system that gets rid of corruption like this in the first place.
Well said, and you cannot defeat crime by reacting to crime. You must be proactive with the elements that created the criminality in the first place.